Good morning everyone, how you doing? It's Paul here from Unusual Things. Now today I'm in St Mary's Churchyard in a place called Copythorne, which is in Hampshire, not too far away from Southampton. And we've come here today to see the final resting spot of a lady called Eliza Dean, or Elizabeth Dean. Now she was a baby when the Titanic sank. She obviously survived, but she passed away not too long ago, but she was the last remaining survivor of the Titanic. She was the last person that lived that actually was on the Titanic. So I've brought you here today to see her final resting place and to hear about her, of course. Now don't forget, if you're into the Titanic and all that sort of stuff and you haven't had a look yet, earlier on in my videos, right at the very start, there's a gentleman on there called Frederick Fleet, and I did his grave headstone recently, and he was the lookout man. He was the man that was on the crow's nest, if you like, that spotted the iceberg. So if you're interested in the Titanic, go check out my earlier videos because his is on there. But let's carry on now and I will tell you some more information about Eliza Dean, or Elizabeth Dean. Elizabeth Gladys Dean, 2nd of February 1912 to the 31st of May 2009. Known as Millvina Dean, was a British civil servant, cartographer, and the last survivor of the sinking of the RMS Titanic on the 15th of April 1912. At 2 months old, she was also the youngest passenger aboard. Dean was born in Branscombe, Devon, England on the 2nd of February 1912. She never married and had no children. Her father died on the Titanic, her mother died on the 16th of September 1975, aged 96, and her brother died on the 14th of April 1992, aged 81, the 80th anniversary of the iceberg collision. Eliza's parents decided to leave the United Kingdom and emigrate to the United States. They were planning to move to Wichita, Kansas, where her father had relatives. His cousin owned a tobacco shop that he was going to co-own, and they were not supposed to be aboard the Titanic, but due to a coal strike they were transferred onto it and boarded as third-class passengers at Southampton, England. She was 9 weeks old when she boarded the ship. Her father felt its collision with the iceberg on the night of the 14th of April 1912, and after investigating returned to his cabin, telling his wife to dress the children and go up on deck. Dean, her mother and her brother were placed in lifeboat 10. Her father did not survive and his body, if recovered, was never identified. As was the case with many of the Titanic's immigrant widows, Etta Dean surrendered any notion of remaining in the United States once it was clear her husband had not been saved. In the 2000 PBS documentary Lost Liners, in giving her account of the disaster, Milvina described the state her mother was during the aftermath of the disaster. We stayed in a hospital for 2 or 3 weeks for my mother to recover a little bit, and then we came back to England because we had nothing. We had no clothes, we had no money, and of course she was so broken hearted she just wanted to go home. The White Star liner offered Etta and her children passage back to England aboard RMS Adriatic. While aboard the ship, Dean attracted considerable attention. An article in the Daily Mirror dated the 12th of May 1912 described the ordeal. She was the pet of the liner during the voyage, and so keen was the rivalry between women to nurse his lovable mite of humanity that one of the officers decreed that first and second class passengers might hold her in turn for no more than 10 minutes. It's awful. It was not until Dean was in her 70s that she became involved in Titanic-related events. Over the years, she participated in numerous conventions, exhibitions, documentaries, radio and television interviews, and personal correspondence. In 1997, Milvina sailed to New York along with several members of the Titanic Historical Society aboard the Queen Elizabeth II. After a few days in New York, she travelled to Kansas City and visited the house that her uncle owned and to where her family was going to settle. Several of her uncle's descendants met Milvina for the first time. In 1998, she travelled to the United States to participate in the Titanic Convention in Springfield, Massachusetts, and another one in 1999 in Montreal, Quebec. She had also been scheduled to appear at a commemoration of the 94th anniversary of the sinking in 2006, but a broken hip prevented her appearance. She also appeared in the history special Titanic's Final Moments Missing Pieces. She staunchly refused to see James Cameron's film Titanic in 1997. She recalled having nightmares after seeing A Night to Remember in 1958, a film based on Waterlord's book, and did not wish to imagine her father as one of the people in the crowd of passengers stranded on the sinking liner. She declined invitations to the premieres of Titanic's and Ghost of the Abyss in 2003. In April 2008, Dean had accepted an invitation to speak in Southampton at an event commemorating the 96th anniversary of the sinking, but due to ill health and respiratory infection, it forced her to cancel. In December 2008, at the age of 96, she was forced to sell several of her family's possessions to pay for her private medical care following a broken hip. This included a letter sent to her mother from the Titanic Relief Fund and a suitcase given to her mother in New York following the sinking. Their sale raised approximately £32,000. In February 2009, she announced that she would be selling several more items to pay for increasing nursing home costs, which she had exceeded £3,000 a month. She died of pneumonia on the morning of the 31st of May 2009, 97 years and 7 weeks after the Titanic sailed, at a care home in Ashurst, Hampshire. She was cremated, and on the 24th of October 2009, some of her ashes were scattered from a launch at the docks in Southampton where the Titanic set sail. Since October the 7th, 2007, Dean had been the last Titanic survivor following the death of Barbara West Dainton, who died aged 96 in England. So there's all the information there on Eliza Dean. Millvina was her middle name. I think that's what she liked to be called. You know, she lived quite a long life really, but how sad, you know, she lost her father on the Titanic. It must have been distraught for the whole family, but anyone that went through that, it must be terrible. We can't imagine it, can we really? You know, people setting off for new lives, for new adventures, jobs, work, holidays, whatever, you know, all those people. And then that absolute disaster to happen. And for her not to be able to watch the James Cameron 97 film, you know, it must, even though she was a baby, it must have just traumatized her, thinking about what her family went through. Anyway, I think I found it. Now we're gonna come around here. Milvina Dean. Now I can't quite see this because it's really February 1912, 31st May 2009. Youngest. Oh, it's really hard to make it out. Obviously it's got youngest something there. Now if you can make that out from the comments, I may be able to see it better when I get home, put it on the screen, I don't know, then obviously please leave. Oh, Titanic survivor. Oh, here we go. Youngest, it looks like, and something, Titanic survivor. I don't know if you can see that, guys. Sort of squeeze in. Titanic survivor. Youngest and, oh, last. Ah, right, here we go, guys. Youngest and last Titanic survivor. Right. So I want to say bless you, and you know how awful that you had to go through that. Now, like I say, half of her ashes are interred there. The other half was scattered at Southampton, where the Titanic set sail from. But yeah, the last surviving person that was on that ship, which has got so much fascination with people and history. You know, the ship that couldn't be sunk, first maiden voyage. And yeah, bless her. And it feels weird, doesn't it? It's like when we say the last person that fought on Dunkirk or in Normandy or in the war, you know, who's passed away, and you're like, all these bits of history which are disappearing now. And we have to be grateful, and we have to remember them, you know. Some people might say, oh, well, that's not a famous grave. No, it's not a famous grave at all. However, I'm not just doing it purely for famous graves. I like doing it for the history and looking into things and finding out about people's lives, you know. And that's the important part, is learning about people's lives and what they did and who they were. And it's just of great interest, really. And when you come to these sort of places and you look around and you read the gravestones, you find out so much information. Sometimes you don't, because they don't have hardly anything on there, but other times you do. That's the way it is. Anyway, I see a big church. I don't know if it's open. We will go and try and find out. I don't think this one will be open, to be honest with you, but we can always have a look. Nah, it's locked. Oh well. Worth a try. Worth a try. So that's it from this beautiful churchyard. Thank you once again, everyone, for watching. Please leave your comments down below, and if you like it, one of those. And yeah, let me know if if you're fascinated by the Titanic, if you love the stories of the Titanic or anything like that at all. I'd be keen to hear from you. Anyway, on this beautiful sunrise in Hampshire, I will see you all on the next one. Take it easy.